I'm Michelle Ryder, editor of Print IT Reseller. In this video series with Epson, we explore how resellers are utilising decades of industry expertise to optimise the new balanced deployment of print. We look at some of the key challenges facing both dealers and vendors, including the increasing accountability businesses are taking for the environment. Joining me today, Amanda Kent and Jack Ranson, directors at Certa MPS. Welcome both.
Hi.
Hiya.
So Amanda, what do you think are the key challenges that dealers are facing today?
For us, over the last few years, we've had to deal with kind of shortage of stock. So generally, we've had to kind of look at what we've got available to us and making it fit to what the customer needs. Sometimes we've had to wait an awful long time for stock. Now, I know it's all come out the other side and everybody promises that everything's going to be okay now, but we're still very mindful of the fact that it could change very quickly and something can happen in the economy to make it be that situation again. And we really wouldn't want to go through what we had done a few years back.
And is that hardware as well as maybe the toner and consumables, which would impact further down the line?
Absolutely. Because we provide our own service to customers, we obviously have to fulfill all the toner requirements and consumables and parts and keep the machines operational. And sometimes when there's a shortage of a widget because it's been stuck somewhere in Europe, it causes a problem for us. So yeah, we've had to manage a lot of things like that recently.
Okay. And Jack, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, managing customer expectations is probably the biggest challenge that we've sort of faced as well. Living in an age where customers are used to getting things the next day, whether it's from Amazon or wherever it may be, and it's just people's perception. So we need to make sure that we, follow along with those same sort of ideas and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's been a challenge when stock has been not great, and just making sure that we deliver a service that's as good as next day as can be, really.
So following on from the two challenges that you've both said that you currently face, how could print vendors help you to address them?
So in terms of actually knowing when things are available would really help us, because we would then be able to plan a little bit better. So communication, I think, is key, keeping us in the loop of what's going on. And I'm going to imagine that they know things a lot ahead of time, but sometimes aren't brave enough to tell us. Whereas if we know in advance or know that something potentially is going to be a problem, we can manage our way around it and find another solution to it, really, to keep the customer happy so that the customer doesn't really know that there's been a problem at all.
So does it influence in some ways on the actual proposals or solutions that you recommend to customers in terms of the devices? Do you have to think, actually, what devices have I got available in stock right now versus what actually I would prefer to recommend to the customer?
Absolutely, yeah. So we would effectively, a bit like when a vendor or a supplier says to you, right, there's a special on a certain item and you're going to make that fit because it's to your advantage. Well, on the flip side of that, when, for the customer's sake, they need to upgrade, open a new office, change the way they're doing things, we're going to find the right thing that's available for them now, rather than them saying, well, this is the answer, but you're going to have to wait 6 months for it.
Yeah, I think just having a vendor that's aligned with your way of thinking as well helps, and marrying up with, your service delivery as well. So making sure you're on the same page so that actually what the end user ends up experiencing is exactly the same from start to finish. There's no hold-ups, because of one party or the other. So I think that's, just a close working relationship with the vendor and like I say, being aligned is key, really.
So I think we've all seen an enormous shift in printing habits over the past few years, and today's hybrid working model, which will undoubtedly continue, will continue to drive change in terms of how customers print and where they print. Has that impacted or affected how you, I suppose, propose and recommend and deploy or manage print engagements?
Yeah, it has done, because being a service provider as well, obviously we've got to manage a slightly different landscape than we did 5 years ago, when it was just a centralised office with multifunctional devices and IT department in-house. With people working from home now, they're expecting the same from the equipment sitting at the end of their desk or on their dining room table as they are for what's available in the office. And as a result of that, we've had to adapt the way we look after customers and become more of a kind of a third-party IT resource for them. So that the customer that's sitting there frustrated because they can't get their prints or their scans sorted out because they're at home can actually call on us and we can help them directly rather than having to wait until they go back into the office.
I think being able to adapt to customer requirements. So, future-proofing a solution as well for, instances where customers are hybrid working. And like Amanda said, being able to do the same thing with a document at home, whether it's printed, scanned, filed, emailed, whatever it may be, as what they've been able to do previously in an office. I think that's something that's key as well. And just, being able to deliver that solution with the customer just having to ask, having previously agreed to something, say a year or two ago, saying, yes, you can do that with what we've put in place already. So
market stats show that there's been a decline in A3 print volumes. Has that been your experience among your customer base? And does that bring the need for balanced deployment to the fore?
Yeah, I think raising the question in the first instance then leads you to look at a balanced deployment in the first place, which then leads on to other questions, what is a customer actually doing with their document? So again, it goes back to sort of future proofing and that side of things where a lot more documents are, handled in the cloud, passed around in the cloud. So it's making sure that when you do consider the devices that are going to go into a customer, they're capable of doing all of those things, perhaps not today, but next week, next month, next year, 2 years, whatever it may be. So that's where balanced deployment is important and does benefit the customer, in my opinion.
Do your customers still output lots of A3 or have you seen a decline in that?
It's hard. It's some of our market sector that we look after, yes, definitely. They still do A3. But no, general office printing, I would ourselves, we don't do as much. So I'm going to kind of think that we're just assuming the customer's going to carry on doing things the way that they have always done it, when in reality, Epson's probably come up with a better answer, really, so that we can put the right machine into the right location.
Created a new opportunity to have a different conversation with them, perhaps.
And as salespeople, we like that.
Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.